Why don't we bring this meeting to order? Hope everybody is doing well. If you give me a second, I will. So, agenda for this evening, first item on the agenda is public participation, which is anybody who has something to add that is not on our agenda. And Jim, if you have anything to contribute based on what's going on, you know, at the state level that might be applicable to what we're talking about. Anybody have anything?
I don't think anything's been decided at the state level yet. They're still doing a lot of deliberations at the moment. So we really don't know which way anything is going to go at the moment.
Okay. When are they supposed to have their budget done?
The state typically does not complete their budget process until after hours. So usually sometime at the end of May, beginning of June.
Okay. But usually we have a pretty good inkling.
Yeah, they did say that they were going to try to get it done earlier this year. But I think they're still working on that bill that's in play regarding the tax, the cap on the automobile tax and things of that nature. There's no decisions yet.
Okay.
Do they have a short session this year, do you know, or a long session?
It is a short session, yes.
So it's probably May 5th then, anyway.
Yeah. I think it's May 4th or 5th. Yes, I think that's the end of the session.
So
Well,
do we know, Jim, if after April 30th, when the executive order ends for the meetings, the Zoom, I guess Zoom meeting, not in-person meetings, do you think we'll still be able to do like a hybrid type of meeting, or?
I think that's everybody's goal, but we still don't know that answer yet either. But we did confirm after our discussion the last time that it is good through April 30th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think it's one of those things that would be good if we could keep doing the hybrid model, because I think it would allow some participation perhaps by the public that they might not be able to do otherwise.
Yeah, I think it creates better access for both the public and for the members of these, various boards and commissions. Yeah. I mean, Bob was a perfect example, joining us from his vacation in Antigua. So
we wouldn't have had a quorum without him.
Right. I mean, he knew what was going on. He was able to participate. I mean, I think that's one of the real benefits of this. I mean, if you talk about transparency and public access, it doesn't get better than this.
No, because I mean, they have the whole recording too, if they want to view any of it. So I think it's good. We've been doing some stuff in our church too that was previously had to have everybody there. We've just kept doing it like these hybrid meetings, same reason. So
yep.
Okay. See a few other people have joined. Mather, welcome.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. I was in a parent-teacher conference.
Not a problem. That's very important. So, and we have several members from the Board of Education who are here. Sounds good. Okay. So any other public comments? Otherwise, I will move on to the minutes. Okay, everybody see the minutes from our last meeting?
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions or comments on the minutes?
I move to approve the minutes as submitted.
I second.
Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
And this is Ross. I'm going to abstain since I wasn't here. I mean, they look fine, but I wasn't here.
Okay.
Same for me.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Same for me. Mather.
Okay, so Mather and Ross abstain. Everybody else votes, so minutes pass. Just a quick question for you, Jim. Who is someone taking minutes for our meeting?
I believe
Ashley.
Ashley is.
I
Ashley
am.
is taking minutes. Yep.
Ashley's
Yep.
with us.
Oh, hi, Ashley. Thank you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Okay, then what we will do is the next item on our agenda is the presentation of the Board of Education budget. There is Superintendent Hecht.
Just in the nick of time.
There she is.
Welcome
Hello,
and
everybody.
happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, all. All right, so Emily, can I share the screen?
I'm going to stop and you should be able to share.
Okay, great, thank you.
Can I interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah,
Yes, go ahead,
Who-
Ashley.
Who was it that seconded Monroe?
Ross Lally.
Us, I think, yeah.
And
No.
actually,
No, it was
No,
Charlie.
no, I didn't.
Charlie?
Early.
oh, Charlie, my apologies.
No, I abstained. I didn't do anything other than that.
Ashley,
Okay,
if
thank
you
you.
have any questions, I can help you tomorrow.
Okay.
too.
Thank you
And
so
I know
much.
it's hard without knowing all the people yet.
Yeah,
If
thank
the
you.
Board of Finance wouldn't mind, just while Ashley gets to know our voices and who we are, if whoever's speaking, if you could just say who's speaking, and that way she can, start to get used to us. Okay?
I'll write
That would be very
everything down
helpful.
to be her backup too, though, so.
Thank you, Jill.
It's hard sometimes to remember to do that. We're so used to everybody knowing everybody, so.
Yeah.
I'll take care of it. I'll help her too, so.
Thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
Superintendent Hecht,
Hi,
the
Mayor.
floor is
Hi,
yours.
Mayor.
all right,
Sorry.
good evening, everybody. Can everyone see my screen?
Yep.
Excuse me, sorry, this is Alex Rivera. I don't have I'm assuming there's a Zoom meeting, and I don't have an invite for it. So I don't know if anybody can send it to my email.
I'm sorry, who is it?
Alex Rivera.
This is Alex Rivera.
Oh,
Right.
Alex, I did send it to you, but I'll resend it to you right now. Because I just
Okay,
checked
thank
and I
you.
did, but I'll send it right now to you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
I'm gonna just wait a minute, Emily, then to see if Alex can get on, because it's kind of hard to,
I appreciate that.
yeah, no problem.
It's kind of hard to see it.
100%, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Hey, Alex, I resent it to you, so you should have it any second now, I hope.
I was on a point with 7 minutes to go in the first half.
Thank you for that update.
Are you getting it, Alex? No?
Yeah, could you so which email did you send it to? The
I
Bolton
sent it to your
email?
personal one. If you didn't do the conversion that we all had to do on the town email, then you wouldn't be able to get into the town email. So
I
it
have
would- I was sent-
I have both. Yeah, I have
But-
both, and I don't
Yeah.
see anything here.
Okay, let me verify then with you what it is.
Okay.
It's alexrivera.realtor@gmail.com.
Yes.
I can try again.
Yeah, I've received emails before. I
Yeah,
got one this.
and that's the one I've used since the night you started, so I'll try again.
Oh, something came through.
Yes?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we'll see you in a second.
Great, perfect. Thank you.
Alex, have you joined us via Zoom?
It's connecting, but if you'd like to, resume, I'll listen in. Don't want to hold up the meeting.
Recording in progress.
So Alex, if you don't mind, once you have connected via Zoom, mute one or the other, or both, just so we don't get the feedback.
All set, ready to go. Thank you, everybody, for your patience.
All right.
No problem. All right, good evening, everybody. Kristen Heck, Superintendent of Schools. Nice to see you all, and thank you for the opportunity to present the Board of Education's budget this evening. We do have Board of Education members with us this evening, so I'm trying to go through as I see them. Chair Broneal is with us tonight. Board Member Rhea Klein, Board Member Chris Davey, and I don't know if there are any other board members on. I'm trying to go scroll through the list. Did I miss
Hi,
anybody?
Kristen. Diana Pagano here. Unfortunately, I didn't get the Zoom either, so I'm just on audio, but it's fine.
Hi, Diana. Okay, thank you for being here tonight. Anybody else?
Do you want me to send it to Diana?
Yeah, if you could.
Absolutely.
I had forwarded it to all board members, but I don't know.
And that's my fault. I forgot you were presenting and I should have sent it to all and I apologize.
No worries.
Well, I should have known.
All right, she'll send it to you, Diana, okay?
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen, what you have here on this front screen, just particularly for the new members, this is Bolton Public Schools Portrait of a Graduate, and this is the Board of Education's roadmap, along with the Bolton Public Schools, and this is the recommended budget for 2022-2023. And you can see there that we have areas that we focus on in all grades, pre-K through 12 in the Bolton Public Schools. We want our students to be knowledgeable, self-directed, creative, practical problem solvers, critical thinkers, good citizens, strong communicators, and collaborators. The mission statement of the Bolton Public Schools is to inspire all students to grow as learners, individuals, and citizens. Our vision is that all students in the Bolton Public Schools are empowered to embrace learning and a healthy mindset, continually build knowledge, develop skills, and become engaged global citizens. This is the belief statement for the Board of Education and the Bolton Public Schools. We believe that quality education is an indispensable community investment in the future of students and society. It requires commitment, communication, and collaboration among the student, family, school, and community. All students have value and the right to an education that meets their academic, physical, and social emotional needs. Students should recognize and value excellence, and high expectations and shared accountability are essential for the success of each student. This budget is a roadmap for the future. The priorities include maintaining Bolton Public Schools as a high-performing school district, a focus on student success, a caring culture, talent development, and resource stewardship. Those four bottom goals are the four goals of our strategic plan, and maintaining Bolton Public Schools as a high-performing school district is embedded throughout it. The proposed budget for the Board of Education for 2022-2023 is a 2.94% increase over this year's budget. And you can see there the breakout for each area and what percentage of the budget it accounts for. So regular instruction is 2%. Student support services is 2%, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Administration and business at 5%. Operations and services at 7%, salaries at 65%, and benefits at 19%. And it is a dollar increase of $437,752 over this year. Here you see the distribution of increase in dollars, and you can see the driving force of this budget is salaries and benefits. So it is the people that we employ that serve our students that maintain the Bolton Public Schools as a high-performing school district. I do want to call your attention to special education. You'll see that that is a decrease. And as of late yesterday afternoon, that was true. However, we have had some changes in the special education landscape, and we are currently looking at an unbudgeted amount of $215,000 potentially for next year in special education. So that is not in this current budget because this just occurred this week. Also, having said that, I'm going to come back to that piece towards the end as well, about the Board of Education's intent to give back money towards next year's budget. Projected revenues, we have $206,485 in federal grants, $352,275 in state grants, for a total projected grant awards of $558,760. Want to remind the Board of Finance that choice monies are used to pay the tuition for Bolton students attending state magnet and agricultural schools. And we anticipate this total to be $100,946 next year. These were our capital proposals. There have been changes to this since then, which you will see when the Board of Selectmen presents their budget, but these are what had been approved by the Board of Education. Please note that the window blinds replacement, we were told do not qualify for CAPA. So those are no longer part of it. And you'll see the rest of it as I shared in the Board of Selectmen's budget, because CAPA has met several times and decisions were made there. These are other additional capital proposals that are potential referendum items that I just want to keep on everyone's radar. We do need to replace the roof at Bolton Center School. We worked very hard to try to get the roof replacement on a 10-year cycle. So BCS coming due in 2022, BHS in 2032, and to keep that rotation going. Having said that, however, the cost of goods and labor right now, if you've tried to do anything in your own home, you know, is exponentially higher than it has been at any time. And we're in a holding pattern right now, because along with that, the air handlers that are up there need to be replaced. We do have air conditioning units on the roof that service a piece of the Bolton Center School. It services the office, the nurse's office, the library, and a few other spaces. But we are also recommending, we think that air conditioning should be put into Bolton Center School. It is only getting hotter. It is not getting cooler. Currently, right now, there are bills being moved forward at the legislature in reference to this, but also the governor announced a $90 million amount that he would like to see used from federal funds to go towards helping schools to improve their HVAC systems. And this includes putting in air conditioning and looking for it to be a situation like the roof, where we would be replaced or afforded a percentage based on what percentage Bolton would get for reimbursement. What happens in that situation is that the full cost of the roof and the full cost of air conditioning, should that move forward and be approved, would have to be put forth by the town, and then you get reimbursed for the percentage that you are allotted. And it's a different percentage every year, so it's hard to say what it would be. It's somewhere right now sitting between 48 and 50%. Also looking at a field upgrade behind Bolton High School to include a track around the field, science lab upgrade at Bolton Center School, a library remodel, and BCS greenhouse removal. As you can see, the Bolton enrollment, we are climbing a little bit in the elementary school, remaining steady at the middle and high school over the last at least 2 years. This is our Columbia enrollment projection. We're projecting 4 students in grade 9 next year for a total of 22 students for next year. On the side there is the current enrollment for Horace Porter School in Columbia. And you can see that if you've been watching these presentations over the years, their numbers are down quite a bit. And by default, then our numbers come down as well. You can see on the bottom there what the Columbia tuition will be, the $13,336.66, and how that converts. 20% of that goes to the general fund, 80% to pay off the high school bond, and the projected total to bring in is $293,406. I'm very proud of our staff, of our students, of our families, for the accomplishments that we have made this year in spite of tremendous obstacles. And I dare say the obstacles have been greater this year than they actually were last year. We have provided quality learning experiences for all learners as we return to in-person learning classes during an ongoing pandemic. We continue to have embedded PD on assessment practices to address individual student needs. We had a reallocation of resources to create a STEAM coach at Bolton Center School this year. We're in the process, or we actually just finished installing Soundfield system and the update of student computer lab at BCS. For those of you who do not know, a Soundfield is a microphone system that enhances the teacher's voice, so students hear things much more clearly. The teachers are loving it and the kids are too, which has been great. And it's great too for our learners that are still at home, because they may have to be home and be remote because they have COVID or they have COVID-like symptoms. And we used federal monies, grant monies for that system. We've advanced our technology plan, which I'm very happy about, and that's a good thing for all kids and all staff. We've updated technology education and music technology labs at Bolton High School. We're in the process of updating all BCS teacher computers and updated all teacher Chromebooks. This budget is a focus on the future. It implements the Bolton Public Schools 2020 to 2025 strategic plan to respond to post-pandemic schooling, guide the work of teaching and learning, and maintain the Bolton Public Schools as a high-performing school district. I want to remind everyone again that the bulk of the monies in this budget are for the people who serve our students. It also focuses on building systems of integrated student support during and hopefully after COVID, a shared service partnership with EastCon for food service director and multi-service technology support, shared service partnership with the town of Bolton for a director of facilities and a technology specialist. And as many of you are aware, we are now part of the Connecticut Partnership Health Insurance Plan. And our tagline for the Bolton Public Schools is to empower, build, develop, and become. The last thing that I want to call to your attention is, as I shared, we have an unbudgeted special education shortfall already that we're aware of for next year. But that also has an impact on this year, because these changes are in the process of happening now. The Board of Education voted at its last meeting last week to put forward $140,000 towards next year's budget. I am not in a position this evening where I can say to you that that is the case. The Board of Education will be having a special meeting next Thursday. Time is yet to be determined to talk about this. I need to make sure that we have enough money and resources to cover the shortfall that we are currently facing in special education for the remainder of this school year. And there are some unknowns that we are trying to work out right now. So I hope to have a fuller picture by next week when I meet with the Board of Education. And after that, I will be able to share what, if anything, the Board of Education can put forward towards next year's budget. Questions for me?
She who giveth taketh away. That's an observation, not a question.
She was
As
trying.
Superintendent Hecht has always said, special education is an ever-changing landscape, and that is just case in point that from one week to another, things change. So for our newer members, I just want to reiterate this, and Chris and Gorley, I do see your hand up. The agreement that we have with the Board of Education is that their budget for special education is based on known needs of our students. because that's what they know. So that's what they budget for. And changes do happen through the year. And what the Board of Finance has agreed is if they cannot cover those changes within their budget, they can come to the Board of Finance and ask for help and money.
And
Since
it will be granted.
Board of Educate, been on the Board of Finance, you've never had to ask. Even with some of the changes, you've been able to sort of be creative on how to cover that. So I want to thank you for that, Superintendent Hecht. But I do want to make sure that our newer members are aware of that sort of unwritten agreement that we have. Having said that, Kristen Gorley, you have your hand up.
Yes, thank you. So just a couple of things. First off, Kristen, when we went through that first year of COVID, I know we got into a situation, everybody did, where supplies were short and, you know, we had to get the Chromebooks and the bidding wars started. Are you foreseeing any type of challenges? And it's kind of a loaded question because I know you don't have a crystal ball, but are you foreseeing that starting to occur now where we could be in another situation just due to supply chains and reordering materials and whatnot?
It's a real possibility.
Okay.
It really is.
Okay. And then one other question, the staffing, are we expected to have a full, hopefully, every position filled for?
That is what this budget entails.
Okay,
Correct.
good.
Okay, thank you. Charlie.
Thank you. I have an observation and more and a follow-up question, I suppose, that with what's been transpiring these last couple of weeks, we've seen a tremendous change in what's going on out in the marketplace. We're talking about a substantial increase in a number of items, not just staples, but gasoline, anywhere from gasoline to breakfast. Anyway, I know, or I understand that this year we're under a contract with the transportation, for example, and that they pre-agreed to it, and that may be fairly settled. But the question I have on the current budget is, do we expect to see the bus companies coming to us and asking for an additional to cover their burdens, additional agreement, or is that because they've theoretically purchased all of their fuel for the school year that we are safe this year, but maybe next year we may be looking at a 20% increase in it that doesn't necessarily show up in the current budget, or does it show up in the current budget?
So we provide, that's a great question, Charlie. Thank you. And Kristen, thank you for your questions as well. They were great questions. We provide the diesel for the buses, Charlie. So we, the town of Bolton, because the diesel also operates all the machinery and trucks that plow your roads, if I'm correct, right, Jill? And so we do a shared buy, if you will. The town locks in the price when we get the word that this is the best time to lock in the price. And we buy the fuel. So yes, there will be likely an increase, 100%. We're locked in for right now. I can't.
We're not.
No, we're not. Okay.
No, we're paying market price.
Okay.
And I've had this conversation with Jim. I have some fears about that.
Yeah.
We have some of the taxes are locked in, or some extra costs, but per gallon price, we're playing the market, and I'm nervous about it for this year and next year.
Mm-hmm.
I think because there was so much going on, I don't think that we could get a locked in price. I don't think that they were offering locked in prices. What I'm understanding. And that may be wrong, but I know for a fact, unfortunately, we paid $1.80 something earlier in the year, and just this past bill, I noticed it was over $3 a gallon. So in diesel, gasoline, we're playing the same roller coaster, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm a little nervous.
as am I.
Where
Sorry,
is
Kristen.
where
Add to
is
your
the diesel
problem.
cost in the budget? Does it part of it live in Board of Education and part of it live in town proper, or does the whole diesel buy live in town proper?
When everybody goes to get gas or diesel, they have to put in a code so that it's recorded who got how many gallons. So Lance will tell us, he'll give us a report and say, the school has this many gallons, in this past couple of weeks, whatever that fuel covers. So there's a reading. So
Okay.
it's very accurate, and it's split by how many gallons each entity is putting into their tanks. So.
Okay, so the budget that Superintendent Hecht does have a line item for fuel in it based on what she thinks is going to be used at a cost
Right.
she thought it was, which
Right.
probably more than it is. So just from a knowledge standpoint, it's probably less. You probably budgeted at what you knew, which has gone way up since then. So,
Right.
okay.
And could go down again. You know what I mean? Like, who the
Right.
heck knows? Right.
No.
So that's a great question,
don't.
Charlie.
Yeah.
And, more to come on that, I guess.
When can we see that it's going to start showing up for the budgets, either budget? This year or next year's?
The costs effect?
How it's, yes, where it's going to be affecting, showing up in our budgets, so where we have to do something about it.
Well, I spoke to Jim earlier on this when I found out that we didn't have a fixed price on the per gallon, and it has come into effect, and I'm watching it to see how it's going to affect our budget, and I'm sure that Kristen will have Casal on that tomorrow. But we're watching it closely now to see. That's one of the things on our radar, to see if we're going to have enough in those lines. Currently, we're watching it right now.
But, I think we're very fortunate that, I think the school buses use the lion's share of the fuel based on, just based on everyday usage.
Mhm.
I think, bad news is the price is up. The good news is, we're not in school that much longer. And, we are all hopeful that, during the course of the summer, things will stabilize and the price will come down. But the reality is we don't know. I'm sure that both Kristen and the town base their budgets on, past usage and, what we anticipated, the average price being. So if prices don't go down, we're both going to be short, and we're going to be looking to move money. And, neither budget may be able to sustain this higher price for the rest of this year without shifting funds around within our budgets to cover those costs.
Does this fall under the rainy day fund, or does it not?
No, we would try to absorb it from, we would look to economize in other areas of our budget and just shift monies around. Rainy day fund would be certainly a last resort. And I don't expect the overage to be so tremendous, that we can't, economize somewhere and find that money.
So I want to speak to that though, please. So while that may be true on the town side, and likely it is true on the board side for the gas for the buses, right? Electricity is potentially something else. Right now, I believe our rate is locked in until December 31st of 2022. I don't know. So we do our best guess for what our rate is going to be from January 1st to June 30th of 2023. So again, our best guess, but if things continue to increase, that could become problematic. And we are the lion's share of the electricity purchasers in the town of Bolton. The school system is, so
Right, especially the high school.
100%.
Any other questions on gas, electricity, utilities? Okay, Kristen Gorley.
Yes. Just as I want to make sure I'm looking at this correctly. I'm on page 8, and this is really for the rest of the board members on the Board of Finance.
Is this on the detailed budget or on?
Right, yeah, under materials and supplies, because the question I had, and I was a little surprised, is that it's actually a negative percentage for electricity, which I would think would change. And, you know, just to take into consideration, looking at the percentage increases, at first glance, it may look like, oh, 10.45 for diesel, but I think that's actually pretty light, you know, considering what's going on. Again, it's just a special note to take a look at that, and we should probably track that over the next, I don't know, until, well, certainly until we go to budget, until this gets voted on. But that's something we need to take a close eye on. Again, it's on page 8 of the budget. So point of reference.
If I could speak to the electricity piece though, if I could please. So we had upgraded lights to LED lights at Bolton High School, and we had a loan for that, and the loan has now been paid up. So that is some of the reduction that you see there in electricity.
Okay.
In that line, we finally finished paying off the loan, as well as taking a look at our usage. But we also had to go back a little further to look at our usage, right? Because if you look at last year, that's an anomaly. Half of the year before is an anomaly. So, you know, we're doing the best we can based on past, a way bit back information, as well as what we know going forward.
Yeah. Okay.
Kristen, we won't really be able to track anything until after we get the new rate, which doesn't start until after December. So, because we know what the rate is right now, we're locked into it. So
Right.
the change is going to be after we lock into a new contract.
Okay.
And that's when the problem could be. Maybe not,
Correct.
but
Correct.
maybe.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Okay, Charlie?
Thank you. The reason why I bring it up or brought the whole thing up is because these are going to be additional costs that there's no question in my mind that they're going to occur. And I'm thinking that this is in addition to the educational costs that we're being faced with before we even get to the budget, as far as talking about cutting the budget. And what I'm looking at is saying that these are substantial numbers, and they may determine just exactly what the possibilities are for reducing the budget versus actually maybe even facing hard facts of having to raise the budget. If hopefully it shouldn't come to that, but it's something that we need to monitor and be aware of, so that when the time comes that we make our decision on the budget, that we've covered all the bases as much as possible. And we are talking substantial. You know, gasoline's gone up $1 at least, and that's now at the current reduced rates that they're throwing out there from what they were last week. I'm looking at it and saying $1 is 25% at least of an increase. So over the prior years. And diesel is today, if you go to any gas station, diesel's $4.95 a gallon, where a year ago you could buy it for $3.50 if you needed diesel, which I happen to have a diesel vehicle, so I know. We are looking at substantial increases that are above and beyond what's in the current budget proposal. So we need to be aware of what's going on and just monitor it so that we can make an intelligent decision about our vote for what the budget's going to be this year. I'm sorry.
I appreciate you saying that, Charlie. And I would like to point out, right, that it's for us on the Board of Education side, it is all of those things that you talked about, and it's everything else that we have to purchase. It's everything, right? And we're already seeing it. You know, we had a quote 6 weeks ago for something, and we go to put in a PO for it. Now it's 6 weeks past. They're like, oh, sorry, it just went up 5%. And we're seeing that all over the place with just about everything. So I need to call that to everyone's attention too. Currently, as this budget sits in front of you, as we stand today with the staff that we have today, cuts mean a cut in programs and a cut in staff. That is what we are looking at and what we are facing as we stand today for the staff we have.
And I just want to say, that, the town is experiencing the very same things. And I'm sure, Kristen, we go to order something that, any other day of the week we get it in 2 or 3 days. And now it's 6 weeks or 6 months sometimes. I mean, I know Kristen and I had a conversation recently about computers that she ordered at the beginning of the year. And we might not even get those computers that she ordered at the beginning of the year before the end of this fiscal year. And that's the reason we were talking about those, is because we have to make sure that, we carry those funds over in the budget appropriately so that we don't get dinged at audit time next year, for doing that. And we're facing the same thing on the town side. I mean, we ordered some culvert pipe that we needed that, under normal circumstances, we'd be able to take a ride to Hartford or somewhere and pick it up. And we're waiting, probably 14 weeks for some culvert pipe. So these are the challenges that we're facing, I think, both on the Board of Ed side and the town side. And I don't think they're going to get better quickly.
Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Other questions for Superintendent Hecht or the Board of Education on their budget? One of the things I want to point out to the Board of Finance, I did pull up the detailed budget. You should have the detailed. In addition to that, I want to say thank you to the Board of Education for providing the question and answers that really line by line, why is there an increase? Why is there a decrease? Because I think that for me answers so many of my questions, and will obviously cut this meeting a little shorter because I can just read the answers right here. I don't know if anybody has any specific questions that after reading through that, they still are not sure what is about a particular line item. We can definitely go over that. If not, we can move on. Do we have any other questions at this time for Superintendent Hecht and the Board of Education?
Mr. Monroe, you do not have a question for me, sir?
Okay, I'll come up with one.
I'm sorry,
Watch out,
Emily.
Kristen.
I knew. I know.
That's quite all right. Go ahead, Bob Monroe.
Just more of an, instead of a question, I understood everything that was said, of course. Just an observation, following up on the observation I made last month, and Kristen was not here, that my calculus was that with the January numbers in, the Board of Ed had spent about $100,000 less than the previous year with all those vacancies and stuff. And as of the end of February, that number is about 85,000. So it shrank a little bit, but I do understand that some monies were transferred out, I do believe. So I still think we're going to be in very good shape on both budgets. My review of the town side expenditures and revenue look the same, and the revenue looks very encouraging. So
I think just to Superintendent Hecht's point that she made at the beginning, the change to special education that just occurred will probably impact some of that outlook. And you looked like you were about to say something as I started talking, so feel free, go ahead.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay. We're on the
and then just for the board certification, if they're not thinking along those lines, I mean, Kristen knows me well enough to know that it's like, you hear a number like that, I start thinking about, okay, the town's portion, up until what point would that be when we start getting reimbursement from the state? How much would that would be for a partial year of education? So yeah, it's I think what Kristen said, and I guess this would be a question for you, Kristen. The 215, that's projected as an annual cost for next year right now?
So that's the predicted cost after we receive what we anticipate to be excess cost. We're looking
Okay.
at a total cost of 300,000 with excess cost potentially down to 215,000.
Okay, for next year, for the whole year.
And add to what we already have budgeted for, correct?
Okay.
Here's the thing, right? Unless something changes, and it could
Right.
change to our benefit financially, right? If things improve for the student and they're able to return to district, or it could change the other way.
Right. And you guys have done very well to adapt to that, and I count on that continuing.
Kristen? Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but as of, well, before today, you weren't expecting any excess cost because the threshold, none of the students met that threshold before today. Do you think there's enough time left in this school year that maybe there'll be enough funds that we might now have some expectation of some excess costs?
Well, excess, that's a great question, Jill. Excess cost window closed March 1st.
Okay, well,
Well, there that is. However,
yeah,
I'll offer that we're like a dog with a bone, and we have contacted the state to see if there is something that can be done about that for us. Being that, this just happened in the last 48 hours. And so we don't have an answer from the state yet, but I will take that all the way to the commissioner's office if that's what I need to do to at least try to actualize that for the district and the town.
well, you've done all you can do, so that's.
Oh,
what it
she can do
is.
more. She's there.
Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Kristen. And that's that tenacity that it has paid off in the past. So hopefully it will it'll work again. So other questions for Superintendent Hecht? Okay, hearing none. Thank you, Superintendent Hecht, and thank you to the Board of Education for developing a very thoughtful budget. I know that you always start from zero and build up with what exactly you need. So we appreciate that. And it'll be hoping that we can smooth through this budget season, see what happens. Then why don't we move on to the next item on our agenda, which I think is the Board of Education update. Yep. Let me get there. There we go. So as you can see, at the end of February, expended 55% of the budget, which is comparable to last year. They're looking, and again, this is at the end of February, projected expenditures, which is an under expenditure of $200,000, which is higher than the previous month, primarily due to unfilled positions. And Superintendent Hecht did mention that at the March 10th Board of Ed meeting, they were going to commit $140,000 towards the fiscal 23 budget. However, they're going to revisit that based on the new changes in special education. Correct. Is there any questions that any of the Board of Finance has about any of the rest of this, the report? Since we do have-
Emily, if I could please, before there's questions, if that would be.
Oh,
all right.
sure. Yes.
The board, we do have a transfer of $35,000 from benefits to operations. As I shared in my presentation, the replacement of blinds at Bolton Central School and Bolton High School are not allowable under the rules in the charter for CAPA. We need to replace the blinds at both schools. Emily could probably speak to that better than I can, but they're failing. In an ideal world, we could have taken $100,000 out of the budget and replaced every single one. And every teacher's classroom would have the ability to darken the room so kids can see the screen and can see their friends who are on the screen who have to be home because of COVID or COVID-like symptoms. So what we did was we're going to break it into quarters. So they put aside, transferred $25,000 for this year in the hopes that we can get a quarter of the ones that need to be replaced, the worst ones first. The additional $10,000 went into John's budget to cover bleacher repair that needed to happen at Bolton High School to ensure that the bleachers are safe, and part of the refinishing of the floor, gym floor at Bolton High School. So I just wanted to call that to your attention.
I will vouch that the blinds at the high school do not go up and down. In some cases, do not go up and down, and in some cases go with a lot of effort, so. Other questions on the Board of Ed budget for this past month? Okay. Hearing none, then why don't we move to the tax collection summary, which, give me a second, is right here. Jill or Jim, do you want to comment on where we are, how we're doing?
I don't think there's much change from last month's report. We're still right on track. I can tell you that I think we have some properties that the Board of Selectmen did vote at the last month to move forward to tax sale due to lack of collection of taxes for, I believe it was some were, I think most of them were 4 years. So I think there's 4 properties, and hopefully that will be happening soon, and that should see a little bit of a bump here. I mean, it's not huge dollars, but every little bit helps.
Right, our prior year is kind of low, so that will help it along, because it is lower than usually we're getting at this point in time. Hopefully the sale will help.
Also, in last year, I know there was a large effort to try to collect taxes from prior years, and we did a really good job of that. So our, what's out there to collect is much less than it had been in previous years. Is that a correct statement, Jill?
Yes, Lori does a really good job of trying to reach out to people and work with them to make a payment plan. And she does a really great job. But like you said, the more we collect of past taxes, or we do a sale and those are paid up, we're going to have less prior year taxes. And when we talk about this every year,
Yeah.
But I mean, like Jim said, some of these properties are 3 or 4 years behind in their taxes, which is definitely going to change when we look at next year's prior year, we're going to have to really think about that amongst, the motor vehicle. And I hope they don't do that cap, but with or without the cap, we're really going to have to think about motor vehicle and the supplemental motor vehicle, because are people buying cars that, someone might buy a car because they really, just want a car, or, people are waiting longer because of the prices and the ability to get new cars and the prices of used cars right now. So that's going to be an issue we're going to have to think about for looking towards next year's taxes on those 2 items.
That's a very good point. I mean, to buy a used car especially is very difficult and expensive. So people
And it's great because it upped our grand list for next year, and that cap of 29 could take everything that we gained and cut it, and it'll make a mess of it. And we will be in a deficit next year if that cap happens. Between what the state is saying they're going to give us and what we would have collected, it's going to be a very large number.
Well, we'll have to stay tuned on that one. I thought I just saw a hand go up.
You did. She touched upon the cap, the 2029 cap that she's talking about. Whether it passes or not and how they pass it could again affect us dramatically for our budget concerns. And why not? Everything else seems to be affecting us dramatically. Let's throw that in the mix too. So we have 118% collection over what was budgeted. Great, we'll take it while we can, but it's not going to happen next year. Not at all.
Sure enough. Okay, any other comments or questions on tax collection? Otherwise, I will move on to other revenues. Moved on to other revenues. Are there any items on here that we are concerned will not come in?
Jill, I think I'd reported on, I think it was something for the veterans last month. Is that correct, Jill?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
There
Jim?
was one thing that, there was one or two things you said that
Right.
we were not anticipating getting this year.
What?
Was one of them a veterans grant or something?
Well, no, I don't remember the veterans grant, the disability, well, oh, I'm sorry, yes. What we have for collection on the veterans grant is all we're going to get. So we
Right.
are going to.
That's what I
Yeah,
was
you're
reading.
right. The good news is though, is that let's see, I'm trying to, Emily, can you go down a little further? Is it the collection on the, let's see, where is it? It's the telephone, the taxes that we pay, that are paid on the towers. I think I had it at 6, so it's telephone right under, right. That was, I had it at 6,000. I received an email from the state. It's going to be about 6,900. So that helps. You know, that's going to go up a little more than we anticipated, which is nice. And like Charlie pointed out, the supplemental motor vehicles is up there, and we still continue to collect. So that's going to be good. That will help us with in the areas that we are going to fall short. I think we're going to fall short on the resident state troopers, what they collect, and we get part of the when they give tickets out, and that's up higher, right, Emily, towards the beginning of the report. I think we had $2,000, and it's not a big number, but that's $440 for half the year. So if we get 1,000, we'll be doing good. I think we'll come short on the library and Bob's all-time favorite, interest. I think that's gonna be quite short.
Well, speaking of interest, next year it'll be a significant income.
We can hope, but
It's not a hope. They're talking
Right,
about 7 interest rate hikes in 2022.
but along with that goes the interest rate going up on what we can bond for too. So it's great to get it in revenue, but when we go out to bond
It's a one-year
for all
deal.
these projects.
It's a 1-year blip for us.
so hopefully we will see interest increases. Sorry, Bob, I don't have quite the same faith, and so I won't hold my breath.
No, don't hold your breath. You might get hurt.
Okay, anything else on this report that we should be worried about, or any other questions that people have? And if anybody speak up, just because when I'm presenting, it's harder to see raised hands, and I just don't want to miss anybody.
Did we have enough snow activity that the budget's getting jeopardized? I didn't really.
So we did, if you looked at the transfer reports in your package, Charlie, we did move money from regular payroll to overtime payroll in the highway budget.
That one didn't make this.
Oh, that one didn't make, so we're planning on doing that. And the reason why is
It did happen.
is because we're getting close, with those funds. you know, it's not just snowstorms that we pay overtime for. You know, it's severe storms with trees down and call outs for, you know, auto accidents when we need sand on the road. So Jill and I were a little concerned about the overtime budget. We had the funds available in regular payroll in the highway department because we had some people out that were not collecting checks. And so we were able to move some funds. And so we are working on making that transfer within that highway budget to cover that. I don't think we had any real concerns over the budget for overtime with regard to the buildings and grounds group.
Both of them are actually pretty close to, we only have a few $1,000s left in highway at the moment with this past payroll being done. So we're good. The other night, 10,000 was approved to be reappropriated into that just in case, because it even includes when they're working on the roads, doing road repairs. If they, you know, the road repair guys just don't end at 3:30. Sometimes they have to stay later to, you know, spread some more asphalt or whatever. And so sometimes they have to stay later and collect overtime for that also. So I was getting nervous, and I'd rather have it there than worry about it after, you know, it's too late. And we have guys out there working. And unfortunately, our luck has been really bad because there's been a lot of Sundays and a lot of holidays this year. So I knew we had the money in that payroll line, the regular payroll line. So I just wanted to move it to be safe. The highway that's the highway guys. John's budget's not as close, but it's actually getting up there. Unlike other past years, he usually didn't get that high. And we've had, like I said, though, we've had a lot of Sunday and holiday storms that have been costly. John's budget is at, he's got 5,600 left in his, which is out of $37,000, almost $38,000. That's not much at this time of year, because we could still have a couple more snowstorms.
Right.
Time, please. I'm done with the snowstorms. Just saying.
Me too.
Well, but
But-
again, it's other things too, right? I mean, if we
Right.
get a burglar alarm that goes off, or
Right.
a smoke detector gets a spider running through it, you know, those guys get called out as key holders, you know, to deal with those sorts of things. So, you know, there's any number of things that, you know, may not be related to storms that
Right.
they might get called in for.
Fair enough. I'm just complaining about the weather.
I understand. I think we're all right there with you, Emily.
Right.
Okay, any other, there are no yellowed line items on this, which I like to see. So that sort of says to me that there's nothing that is of great concern.
We're watching things that could, but we'll let you know. It's kind of early to tell. Like we talked about the gas and the diesel, it's pretty early to tell where we're going to fall. But as we get more gallons delivered, I will keep an eye on it.
We're not losing sleep or pulling our hair out yet.
Not yet.
That's a good thing. Okay. I already flashed up the transfers for last does not include that last $10,000. These are fairly small.
So you know, we had brakes on the one of the 10-passenger vehicle, and unfortunately there just wasn't enough money in the light item because we also had catalytic converter theft earlier this year. And when they got into the brakes, you know, we had moved some money. When they got into the brakes, it needed more parts, so we had to end up moving some more money to do that. We moved some money in the administration budget from professional and technical services to other supplies because there's a lot of things that we do with that. And every time we tried to do something, Jill would say no because we were out of money. So we moved some money in that account so that we would be able to, you know, cover those supplies for the rest of the fiscal year. There's a possibility we may have to do another small transfer, but we're not thinking so at this moment in time. Conservation Commission wanted to leverage some of their funds to do something, you know, to make a purchase. I think it was, if my recollection is correct, it was safety vests. So when they're doing things either on the trails or doing, you know, one of their environmental studies, they could be a little more visible and less apt to, you know, be injured. And so that's what those last two transfers were for things for the Conservation Commission. Any questions on the transfers?
I don't think I see any hands raised. Okay, then where are we on our agenda? I think we've covered all of our reports. Did I miss any of them?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Then just a quick review of our budget calendar. We are in budget season, so I hope nobody has any plans for Tuesday and Thursday evenings for the foreseeable future. Our next meeting is going to be this coming Tuesday at 7:15, and we are going to go over the Board of Selectmen budget, so town proper, capital improvement, and debt budget. So that is the plan for Tuesday evening.
Now, I haven't sent out an agenda yet because I was waiting on Jim to see how they were coming along with the presentation. So I guess this is a good time to ask Jim, how are you coming along with the presentation? As to whether we were gonna do that on Tuesday or Thursday of next week.
I'll know better tomorrow, but you know, unfortunately, other things kept me from working on that today, unfortunately. And I'm really not sure how far. Kathy was trying to work a bit independently on that of me today. And I'm honestly not sure how far she got.
Okay, so if you don't have a presentation ready, I'm going to suggest that we then don't have a meeting on the 22nd and just have the meeting on Thursday, the 24th. So that, because we're still sort of in the trying to look at all the initial budgets, I don't know how much deliberation or conversation that the Board of Finance can have with only one small piece of it. How does the rest of the Board of Finance feel?
If we can't move forward, then I say let's cancel it and wait.
Okay.
Well, can we make that decision tomorrow?
Yes.
Or do you need to make that tonight?
I think we can make that tomorrow. I think we just need 48 hours
Yeah.
to post, right?
Yeah, I'll have a better sense of things, and Jill and I can talk about it in the morning. Because the other part of it is, you know, we're working on this presentation, and as you know, we're in two separate buildings, and that does make things a little more complicated. And we do need Jill to review the work that we've done and make sure everything's accurate. I mean, as you know, the budget itself is done. It's just a matter of you know, tightening up our presentation, you know, so that, you know, we can try to do at least as good a job as Kristen did.
So we will plan on Tuesday meeting. And if for some reason you're not ready for that, then we'll send a message out to everybody saying that we'll cancel Tuesday and just meet on Thursday.
Right,
Thank
so
you.
I'll let you know, Emily, and then after, if we do cancel, I will make sure that I get you know, a message out to everybody, including Kristen and her board, her board chair. And then I'm sure that they can, you know, send it out to anybody else that would attend. So, but we'll know tomorrow, and I will let you know tomorrow.
Very good. So you can see that we've talked about next week, and then the following week, Tuesday, Thursday. The week after that is a Wednesday. so you can sort of, I would say, put all these on your calendar. Our public hearing is scheduled for the 26th of April.
So we're still at the point of how we're going to present that, I guess is a better word. Not whether, because we have to, but how are we going to do it in person and,
I think we have time to
hybrid, or yeah.
decide how we're going to do that. If it's going to be hybrid, all
Right.
virtual like we've done the past 2 years, and what the location for that is.
My only concern is that booking, if we want to do it in the student commons, we have to make sure with the school that that is available. That's my only concern, is that it doesn't get booked for something else. And so that's my only concern about that. And I spoke with Jim today in the Board of Selectmen's April meeting. They are on their agenda is to pick the referendum date. So we'll have a better idea after that point where we're ending in this calendar.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of question marks down there that I can't fill in until we know when the referendum.
Right. So down these question marks at the bottom. Very good.
Right.
Okay. Well, we can talk more about the public hearing and touch base with the school if that is an option to do it in the commons and if that space is available.
And certainly we can do that.
I'll reach out to Linda just to see if it's even available, and I'll email Jill and let her know one way or the other. If not, I'm sure we can make the gym or we can figure something out if that's what we need to do.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
The library is also a possibility, just given the size of what the people that normally show up. I think that space would also work. Okay. Any other questions about our meeting schedule for the next month or so? Okay, then that is the last item on our agenda. Any other follow-up questions or comments? Then I hope everybody has a very happy rest of your St. Patrick's Day and have a great weekend. It should be beautiful tomorrow, so hopefully everybody can get out and enjoy some warm weather. And thank you again, Bob, for bringing it back with you.
My pleasure.
And we
Run
will
down my
see.
pour.
And we will see everybody next Tuesday, unless you hear otherwise from us.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you for
Night.
everything.
Uh,
See you.